Okay, let's get into it. 2024 has kicked off to be crazy already, and we're barely going to hit the second month. If you haven't heard, pro-life protesters protesting in front of a clinic has just been found guilty of the FACE Act. What is the FACE Act? Let's take a look. The Freedom of Access to Clinic Entrances Act, FACE, or the Access Act, is a United States law that was signed by President Bill Clinton in May 1994, which prohibits the following three things. 1. The use of physical force, threat of physical force, or physical obstruction to intentionally injure, intimidate, interfere with, or attempt to injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person who is obtaining an abortion. 2. The use of physical force, threat of physical force, or physical obstruction to intentionally injure, intimidate, interfere with, or attempt to injure, intimidate, or interfere with any person who is exercising or trying to exercise their First Amendment right of religious freedom at a place of religious worship. 3. The intentional damage or destruction of a reproductive healthcare facility or a place of worship. Interesting to say the least, the pro-life activist face up to 11 years in prison for peaceful protesting in front of a clinic. As far as we know, these activists were singing hymns and just sitting down. Take a look at this video. Now, in the wake of all this, Merrick Garland had the audacity to send his foot soldiers, FBI, to bang on doors with weapons drawn, of course, giving no info to the families. They treated these protesters like if they were terrorists, now seeing how Merrick Garland has been treating Christians, sending undercover agents to Catholic churches, and arresting pro-life activists. It's not far-fetched to say Biden's DOJ is treating God-fearing men and women like terrorists. It's disgusting behavior considering the facts Biden's administration is not doing anything to close the border. Now that's another conversation in another video. It's fair to say this country is ass backwards, while the DOJ is arresting innocent people for caring about life. In New York, police are getting attacked by mobs of illegal immigrants. Check this out. Trying to make an arrest of a disorderly conduct immigrant, 2 NYPD officers were brutally attacked by a group of illegal immigrants. We know these people have no regard for the law considering they came to the country illegally. You would think crossing the border illegally, any crime committed, would be more severe. But this is New York we're talking about, a liberal shithole. Reported by CBS News. The NYPD is expressing outrage after officers said a crowd of asylum seekers attacked 2 of their own in Times Square over the weekend, only to be released without bail. Police are asking for the public's help identifying 4 men they say were part of a group that attacked 2 officers on Saturday night. Surveillance video provided by the NYPD shows the front of a migrant shelter at 220 West, 42nd St. Police. Said officers were trying to disperse a disorderly crowd when the 2 officers were assaulted. A second clip then shows officers apparently trying to take someone into custody when police say the officers were attacked by a group of men. You have 8 people attacking a lieutenant and a cop, running up to them, trying to kick them in their face, NYPD Chief of Patrol, John Chell, said. Yes, the people were arrested and released, expected to return to court on their own, laughable, and a slap to the face to the cops injured. In other news, a George Soros-backed prosecutor has charged veteran Michael Cassidy with a hate crime for knocking down the satanic statue.
And he's charged with 4th-degree criminal mischief. He's been released, and Americans are rallying behind him. Let's bring in Michael Cassidy and his attorney, Davis Yance. So, Michael, was this something that you plotted, or is this something you just did on the spur of the moment?
Thanks for having me, Jesse. This was certainly a spur of the moment kind of thing. I saw that this was going on. I was surprised that the legislature allowed it up and that they didn't do anything to take it down, just to take it down. And so I got to the Capitol, and I didn't know what to expect when I got there. Just like that scene in Illinois with tons of people chanting and whatnot. I didn't know what was going to be there, but nobody was there, and it offended me. It touched a nerve. It was, righteous indignation. I'd call it, Christian civil disobedience. So I took the statue that was there and the idol, whatever you want to call it, and then it's no longer there.
How precisely did you decapitate Satan?
Pulled his head off.
Just pulled the head right off and let it crash on the ground.
Pulled it off, and then it's just some cheap fabric, probably like, I don't know, $5, $10, something like that. Tore it off, pulled it apart, put it in a garbage bag, and then I went down to security and told them what I did. I wasn't running away or anything like that. I told them what I did. They were very professional. Then they gave me the citation and sent me on my way.
All right, and then beams of light started to shoot down from the heavens right onto your head, I'm sure. Okay, Counselor, you right now, I think, was it Biden-Harris? Didn't they bail out the people that toppled the statue of Thomas Jefferson? Do you expect Democrats maybe to help fund or help donate to your client's GoFundMe here? This is Satan.
No.
Not really in the same league as Jefferson.
No, we certainly don't expect those kind of donations, but there have been a lot of people that have come together and been incredibly generous and have wanted to stand by a Christian who was taking a stand for good. This is obviously a question of good and evil, and it's important in our society. We recognize that. So that's really what motivated Michael to do this, and there's a lot of people that are willing to stand by him, and we will ensure everything is done possible to make sure he gets the equal protection under the law. Absolutely.
I mean, these satanic people, do they legally have a right to erect this dopey thing? Because it doesn't even seem like they're a real religion.
So that's a great question. Under the First Amendment, under our case law, there has not been a single case that has ever found that Satanism can be considered a religion under our Constitution.
Okay.
And even more than that, even more than that, blasphemy laws, anti-blasphemy laws have been upheld by our Supreme Court into the 20th century. So
okay, so why are the politicians in Iowa allowing it?
Fear. They're afraid to take a stand, and they're afraid to challenge this when the law is clear. And regardless of that, they're afraid to challenge evil. And that's what we need to do. But that's the problem with Christians and the church in this country. We have to be able to take a stand. We cannot buy into the myth of neutrality in the public square. Otherwise, we get chaos.
As I said, I'm not really into toppling statues, but if there was one statue in the whole country that deserves toppling.
As I said before, this country is ass backwards from FBI arresting pro-life protesters to illegal immigrants assaulting police officers and getting released to getting charged with a hate crime for knocking down satanic statues. You have to wonder what's next. 2024 is just getting started. Time will tell. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.